Randy Chavez is on the show.
Hi,
Hello.
how's it going? How
Gives me
y'all doing?
meows. Few meows. Meow at me.
What's
So
going
good to
on,
have
man? How you doing? How you been?
Really good. Really good. It's great to have you back.
Yes.
How's life? Your refrigerator is looking stacked right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the fridge. I got someone renting out the wall over there. People are starting to pay for other people too. Somebody paid for Taps Trades for a month. Somebody paid for Cavell Anderson for a month. I have to move him over to the wall. So yeah, things are going interesting. And
Oh,
I know you're like sweating your butt off over there,
yeah.
but I have a snowstorm coming. Supposed to get 8 inches of snow this weekend. I don't know what that is in centimeters, but it's a lot. It's like
A lot. A lot.
it's more than half a foot, which I don't know if you know. I hate
It's
how we
about a
use
ruler.
different metric systems.
It's a ruler. Let's
Yeah,
just say that.
yeah, it's gonna be
Well,
nuts.
that's really that's really full. Let's just meet somewhere in the middle. How about you and I just meet at the equator and we'll do a live stream from there.
That'd be great. I would love 50 degrees. I would love to. I can't wait to move and never have snow again. I would like. I mean, I don't know. You guys have a lot of stuff that can kill you, like
Yes,
spiders and jellyfish.
that's right. That's right.
Did you ever see?
Come to if you come further south where we are, the deadly things get sort of fewer and fewer. There's a
Okay.
few rocking around, but yeah,
Did,
you're
did,
not going to die as much in Melbourne
as much.
further.
Did you ever have a run in with one of those? Like, let's say you're on a run or you're biking to work, and suddenly you have like a snake or something pop out. It's like, oh god, I'm gonna die. I didn't know this was gonna happen.
So I live right next to the river, and um, there's signs everywhere for snakes. I've always lived quite close to this river, and
Okay.
there's always like lots of snakes rocking around, especially during springtime. Um, but I shouldn't say this now, but I've never seen one on like this bike track that goes along the river. But I'm going to lift up this wooden chair right here and just touch it.
Knock on wood.
But I think I'm in the minority. I think most people, if you're heading around those areas, you'll definitely see one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like there's sharks. I mean, but you got to get pretty far out into the water to encounter one of them. I
Okay,
feel
so
like I'm guessing myself just saying all this right now.
all right, so there's nothing that's like a tiny jellyfish that you can't see that'll get you like in the shallows. There's nothing like
Yeah, there's I'm like qualifying everything. Like Melbourne's really safe. You'll be fine. The bay that we live on in Melbourne's called Port Phillip Bay. There's some areas of it where you may encounter like little jellyfish, but it's not an issue. Like I've been swimming. I've lived here my whole life. I've been swimming in the bay, swimming in the ocean, just a bit further beyond. Never come in
okay.
contact with jellyfish.
Do you
But they're
guys
hard.
have like we have like Florida Man in the States where like there's just a part of the United States called Florida, and there's always someone called Florida Man where he's either on drugs or he's wrestling alligators. Do you have any of that? Do you have like any celebrities like that in Australia?
And so is he sort of like a crazed wildlife guy? Is that
So
sort of
he's kind of like this in Florida, the laws of being able to find out things about people, like the criminal laws, are really loose. So you can look up who got arrested for what, and it's printed in a lot of their papers. They don't say the name. It's like Florida Man did this, and it's a new one like every week, like Doctor Who. There's new ones all the time, and that's just kind of the thing. We could take a Florida Man like does drugs and wrestles gator, or gets naked and runs on a golf course. That's like the
I think we don't really have an equivalent, but it sounds to me if it's sort of like the reckless local who's sort of in and out of court and rough around the edges.
yeah.
The word we have for that is a bogan. That's
Bogan?
yeah,
Okay.
but a bogan sort of carries it's almost like a redneck kind of connotation.
Okay.
You don't have to be. That carries also like other baggage with it. I know that word, but the bogan can also be very lovable as well. Like in Australia, we're all bogans.
Okay.
we're, you know, we're outcasts.
Okay.
No one wants us in the rest of the world, so we all ended up in.
All right. Okay, so it could be like a derogatory term, but it could be like, it's a cute little bogan. Like,
yeah, a little bit. Like it's kind of like you embrace your inner bogan.
okay,
It's sort of like an unsophisticated. The unsophisticated is the bogan, but
okay,
there's some who sort of hit the stereotype and meet the stereotype more than others. So it can be pretty derogatory, but it's also kind of a term of endearment, sort of.
okay.
You have to come to Australia and you'll experience it for yourself.
I do. I need to.
So
yeah,
we've had a lot going down since we last spoke, or since we first spoke. Actually, we've interacted a lot online, but we've done one stream with you where you bought our very first collectible thing, and that was the first trade we ever did, and it's gotten pretty crazy from there. Like,
yeah, tell me the stories.
Yeah,
tell me the trades.
It's gone nuts. So the trades, let's see. I mean, there's so many to speak of. If I bring up our Heath, which is our ledger, it was actually your trade, which was our $3.99, the thing, which you bought for 21. We then went from there to a zombie Captain America, which was bought by a friend of the show, Luke, who then said, I'll buy it from you for 60 gems so that you can get into a position to go for the Disney drop. So it was the first two trades that basically set us up for this whole project. And there's been, I mean, as I'm looking at it now, I mean, we're up to like 70 trades of some description, and currently sitting at a portfolio value of 5,414 gems.
Damn, Daniel.
That was
again with the crazy gems.
we should definitely meme that. There was a point where we were over 7K as well. So this is just because of the market's just cooled off a little bit. But a lot of this, the last couple of weeks, we were able to get into a position through, there's been some really good trades that we did. For example, we picked up the Wally from that Disney drop and flipped it quite quickly. Picked up a C3PO, basically like sold it for like quadruple the price within 24 hours. Like,
oh my God.
That drop really got us into a great position. So, there was we got onto the Captain America, Steve Rogers, gave that a nice little flip. What else did we have? A bunch of comics. And we actually have had a bunch of people donating to the project as well. So there are a couple of giveaways that were done by supporters of the show where they said, we will, if you follow us and donate or transfer a comic book to the thing to Donny, you go into a running to win X comic book. And
nice.
Marvel Comics #1, which was an amazing giveaway by Fantasy King Pins.
Oh my God.
Which was an awesome, super, super generous thing to do.
Yeah.
So we end up having people, there is a loophole, which we're kind of exploiting a loophole in our own rules. The rules are always, we start with our thing and we can't add any more gems into our account.
Okay.
But someone, when we first started, was like, hey, I really want to support your project. I love what you're doing. I love that it's going to charity. I'm going to transfer you something. Send us your QR code. And we were like,
can we do that? Yeah.
Can we do that? And after thinking long and hard about it, we were like, to be honest, if the end goal is to get to Donny and donate to charity, like, how can we say no to that?
Yeah,
if
yeah,
we get us
done in charity.
So, so basically, the project has become, it's taken on a life of its own since you joined us those couple of months ago, Randy. And some of that's due to you as well, because you've been giving us lots of shout outs and kudos. Yeah. So when Neo's going to be joining us shortly, and we'll go through some of our current holdings. But what would be really great to talk about with you today, apart from just everything, we got Randy on the show. It's like,
we'll have 2-month recap.
That's right. What don't we talk about with you? I kind of thought it'd be great. I mean, we're at a point today where there's the migration happening. That's one thing that would be really cool to talk about. Another as well is we're having a lot of people following us who, apart from being really interested in the project and the charity angle, are interested in how we've flipped our way to the current portfolio value. And so therefore, some of the flipping tactics that we've used are ones that people might be interested in using as well. But I think that there's something, and maybe this is the best way to kick off, is like knowing when to flip and when to hold. And I know that that's something that you've got a lot of experience with. I'm really interested in how you sort of differentiate between a collectible or a comic that you come across and go, this is a flip or this is a hold. How do you go about doing that?
So I kind of cheat, and Comics and Crypto puts out a video each week of the comics, like, hey, should hold this or like sell, and that's how I know the comics. But
yeah, definitely, I'm with you.
But that's how I know when to sell. But that's how I also know when to buy. Like when they say, hey, you know what, something that's really underrated is Tales of Suspense number 57. And I was like, all right, I bought it for 600, and it was over like 1,200 at one point. It's at like 900-ish now. I was like, okay. So on the opposite, when they say to sell, I'll sell. But when they say to buy, when other people are selling, I'll buy it, even if I don't get it on the drop. And then so people say, don't try to catch a falling knife. Where if it's going down, don't try to. But if you don't try to do that, here's what I think. Well, you don't get the knife at all. Where if you let's say Joey M. Midoriya, it was at $2,800, and it went down to like $1,800. I was like, okay, I'll buy it here. And then it went down to $1,700. Like, okay, I'll buy it here. Did I like? Yeah, I caught the knife by the blade. I got hurt, but at the end of the day, you know what? Now I have 2 knives, and it went down even further. You're never going to buy the bottom. You're never going to buy the bottom, consistently, and never going to sell the top consistently. But you get really close, and because people are already willing to pay $2,800 for that, and now it's over $1,000 less, and it's DC, so you have to have less of a fee than you do with Marvel and Disney and James Bond. So I was like, okay, this is probably pretty good. Now this was before Mickey and Friends were announced, and this is before the Spider-Man new Marvel Mighties were announced. So that might stay down there for a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's still part of the first set. So,
and you've got that long game in mind as well, and I think that can be that's something that people need to figure out from the very start. Are they in it for a quick flip, make their money and get out when money transfer license comes in, but or are they, like you, really in this for the long run? Are they thinking years in advance? Are they thinking they're going to rent out their collectibles when they can, for example, and earn passive income? So I guess having that in mind from the start would be an important thing for someone starting out, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, I see it all the time, and this is why money goes from the patient or from the impatient to the patient, because people in general, and I get it, it's hard. Like if you want to get in really good shape, if you want like a 6-pack, you want muscles, it's boring and it sucks, and you have to really work hard, and you have to diet for 6 months, 8 months, a year. If you want to learn some like Jackie Chan type of moves, you have to really study martial arts for a long time, and it's boring, and you have to do a lot of chores and homework. But for the most part, if you would,
Neo,
I Neo,
Yes.
welcome.
Fuck,
Um,
We're talking about differentiating when to hold something, when to sort of knowing your long game. So when to differentiate between am I holding this to flip really, within a couple of days or weeks, or am I getting this to hold on to for years? And
sorry, I'm late, and I hope I don't interrupt the flow. This is great.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We're good. Glad to have you. We're just talking about the Joey M Batman, and it's like, okay, I bought it at the first one I bought at like $400, which was like great. But this one, when it was at 2,800, and I bought it on the way down at 1,800, and then at 1,700, and it's still down. Well, if I had the gems for another one, I'd probably buy another one. But I have the gems I'm going to save for the Spider-Man one. But some people would think that, I'll take the loss on it, or I'll break even to try to buy something else. And if you know that what you're going to get is like a guaranteed thing, like if I saw let's say something for like, let's say $2,800 right now, and it was like a sub 100, it was something crazy, I would take the loss on the Joey and Batman. I would sell those two, get that. Like I didn't take a loss on Harley Quinn, on Stephen Pugh one, but I saw a Captain America number 43 for like $9,000. I was like, oh my god, like a secret rare Captain America number 43. So like I was like, this has got to be like $30,000. So I sold Harley Quinn. I think the bottom was like 12K, and I sold it for like 10K or 9,800. They bought that in conjunction with other gems. If I had bought that for 12K, I would have sold it at 9,800 just to be able to get that guaranteed something that's really undervalued. And I did wind up selling that for like 30 something thousand. It was for Omi though. So it was worth a lot more. I just had to discount it a little bit. But yeah, a lot of these things, a lot of people are impatient. If they're trying to play the long game, they can't do it. Now you guys have a little bit of a different strategy because like, are you going to hold one thing forever? No, you need to make moves or else the project might lose a little interest, might lose a little steam.
That's right. And that was actually really good advice that you had in an interaction that we had on Twitter, which was figure out an end date for your project. And we're talking amongst ourselves about what that end date is, because we agree with you. We need an end date to shoot for to reach our Donny. And that, I think, keeps up momentum with the project. And it also just keeps it interesting for our supporters as well. I think it adds that element of like suspense,
Yeah.
You're going to get just, shitting yourself wondering if that's going to happen. Because at the moment, our portfolio value is up on the screen. So we're at roughly 5,500 gems. And that's a mixture of, there's about 100-ish of those gems. Well, 136 gems we have in our wallet, and the rest are our collectibles and comics. So, when you've got that amount, there are tough decisions to make, which are, do you sell everything and reach for the next rung? Yeah. Like we're on monkey bars, right? And you don't have to do that. If you're in your position, Randy, or Neo and I, with our own personal vaults, we know we can play a long game. But for this project, it'll be a matter of months to make these moves. So maybe something we could do now is to go through what's in our vault. And Randy, I mean, you always say it's not financial advice. So,
well, I guess the other thing is, Pato, you don't want to sell in a gem squeeze either, right? Even though
generally no, but if there's an opportunity, then you should probably get it. You should probably take advantage of it, even if it is, because everything's in a gem squeeze. But you guys do have a unique opportunity here. Like there's a show called Billions where this one character has to make a lot of money really quickly in order to meet their like third quarter projections. And one of the guys says like, well, why don't we do like a Hail Mary, put it all into one thing and just pray that it goes. And the person's like, well, because I want to work in this field again, I can't do that. But you guys can do that. Like if I were to go and say like, hey guys, I'm putting all my things into, you know, the Bigfoot and the Cryptkins, people would laugh at me like, okay, he's finally lost it. It's done. He's over. But you guys can do that onto one thing. You could sell everything right now. And I'm trying to think of something that's like, let's say $4,800, give or take. And you could do, let's say, put it into a secret rare Captain America. And I'd be like, okay, that might not be too bad. There's probably better things that you can do with that. But how many collectibles do you have in that portfolio?
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 collectibles and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comics.
Okay,
so 11 in total. I'll take you through what they are. So we have, so therefore it wouldn't take too long to liquidate.
Okay.
So we have 2. Well, let's start with the most expensive. We have an Elsa, which was a great move. We got that just in time. We have a Bruce Timm Harley Quinn, which, by the way, has basically dropped back to the price that we bought it at. We bought it at $850.
Okay, and she was at like $1,200, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure she'll move again, but $859 at the moment, which I think is actually a really good price. Then we have a Coca-Cola Snow Globe Common, Common Storm, and 2 Common Voltrons.
Okay.
Then for our comics, we have Amazing Spider-Man #1 Common, Uncommon Daredevil 131. We have the next 2 are commons, Fantastic Four #1, and Fantastic Four #5.
Nice.
And also have a Young Avengers #12.
Okay. So I think the Voltrons, the Young Avengers #12, and maybe the Coke Bear is something that the Coke Bear and the stamps those are not really part of my world, so I don't really know them. I do see a bunch of people be like, "Hey, why aren't the Coke Bears moving?" And you know, part because I don't really know that much about the history. Not the Hess trucks. My grandma used to have the Coca-Cola plates, and you know that old Super Bowl commercial. Thanks, Mean Joe. You know, after he drinks the Coca-Cola. But I think that particular one has a little bit older fans, and it might take a little while to get in. But the Voltrons, and I think the not the Young Avengers one, those might be okay to liquidate. The other ones seem great. I'm remembering them, like the Fantastic Four #1s and 5. Those are good. How much are those total? The Avengers one and the Voltron ones.
Let's see. So the Voltrons are 100 apiece, and Avengers is 1750. So 217. Well, I mean minus the
Yeah. So let's say like 190 something after all the fees, because you do have to sell them. Flipping is hard with Marvel and Disney because you do have that fee.
Music here.
Oh, okay.
It should be a regular.
Yeah.
Well, our production value just soared.
Plus 10 subscribers.
That's right.
Now, I don't know when they're going to have things on OpenSea, but I can guess that the first ones will probably be independent artists from DesignerCon. And so maybe only reason I'm going to say Luke Chu is because I have that set. It's the only one I have from DesignerCon, the Ghost Bears. But I think I don't know if you'd have enough for the apes. Yeah, because that was like $500 for the little friends, like the apes. Let's say the Tristan Eden, because Tristan Eden does fantastic on OpenSea in general.
Yeah.
So maybe a Black Bunny. That Black Bunny goes for 121. You know, the uncommon. OG Devil Bunny. The red one is for 69. We're coming nice down below for the 69.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, one of each of those, or that, because again, I think the designer content, again, Tristan Eaton's very, very good. The Cat Bronson and the Ink Stories, the Eve, those are a little out of reach. Yep. But that's probably, that might be a good thing to switch over to Tristan Eaton. And again, the Ghost Bears do go up and down, so it's kind of, again, there could be something that goes out of nowhere. Like there could be the what's that pink elephant? I mean, it could be the Napolitan King. I love that. For all I know, that could be the one that people just like. It's ice cream. He's pooping out, Pepto Bismol. I need it. That's $700. I don't know. Yeah. But I would say designer con stuff would probably move. And again, who knows when we go on OpenSea, but when we do, those are probably going to be good. And
we're seeing people post at the moment that you can purchase things now on Immutable with Omi.
Yeah, you can list your stuff for Omi and people can pay.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's going to be an opportunity for this kind of thing. Now people think, we can. This now has an extra platform that you can sell on. Not just
that's the other thing where, let's say Omi is at 2 cents and they finally have Omi to NFT. At that point, I mean, again, knowing that we had already, let's say, 3x'd from where we are now, and we reached 2 point something cents, 2 cents and change. I don't think it would be a bad idea to be able to sell some of your stuff for Omi and then just watch the Omi grow. Because I feel like Omi was going to grow a lot. Like I said, I sold the Secret Rare. Since we last talked, I sold the Secret Rare Spider-Man, a Captain America Secret Rare 47, and a Secret Rare Storm number 43 for Omi. Because I do think this Omi will outpace the NFTs, at least in the short to midterm. Long term, I have no idea.
And were you doing that off the app?
Yeah.
Or was that? Yeah. So now the ability to sell it for Omi without having to sort of like shit yourself.
Without having to take off 30%. Yeah. So I think you do have some real opportunities coming up, between OpenSea, Immutable X, and being able to sell for Omi, and just holding the Omi. Now, again, that could be a little boring, just selling everything and holding the Omi, but it could really make some cool moves also.
Really interested in the thoughts of our community. So if you've got any ideas of your own, jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts. What do we do if you had 5.5K? What would you do? and knowing that it's most of that is actually in an Elsa. So, I mean, I guess we've gone through a bit of like flipping tactics, and that element of like, when do I sell? When do I decide to hold it? How about like goal setting, Randy? How do you go about looking ahead over the next week or the next month and so on with what you currently hold?
So it is important to have like a bunch of goals, because even if you can't do the big ones, but you can do the little ones. Like let's say, like my goal for the new year, and I knew I wasn't going to hit it, but my goal for the new year is like, what? I want to get healthy and I'm not going to drink this year. And that seems like an impossible mountain to climb. And it was. I wound up drinking 2 weeks into it. But if I can go and I could say, hey, you know what? I don't have to drink the rest of today. I can do that. And I got I got that little pleasure center in my brain to give me the pleasure goods to set, 14 days. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm doing well. So and again, shoot for the stars and then land on the moon. Even if the end goal is to flip to a Donny, and then you say we got to do it by this point, but then you say, oh no, we didn't get to a Donny, but we got to 30,000 gems. That's still great. But so a lot of it's being prepared. A lot of it is really just studying the app, and a lot of stuff that I do find it is at like 1 a.m. Like the night I got a sub 100 ultra rare Spider-Man for like $12,700 because it was listed, and I had to sell like 2 different things for it, but I got it.
That's nice.
It was like at 1 a.m. People just people just like, yeah, you know what? And nobody's there. Nobody. It's very very hard to sit there at 1 a.m. and be like conscious, but hey, ready to go. So it is boring spending quality time on the app and doing that every day. So, but the mid to medium goals, like small to, I don't know. I guess that's more boring. That's the just looking for opportunities.
And it's funny because like Neo would know this very well. From the way that we started was we just began this project in November just because, like, let's just do it. And it's never occurred to us that we won't get to Donny. Like, and it's just not an option, right? Yeah. And the project started just, me, Neo, Matt, and Joe were just like, let's get to a Donny, and then we split the proceeds amongst ourselves. And then that changed very quickly within a couple of weeks to the proceeds going to charity, which I think has led to, strangely, us being more motivated that the money's not going to. I don't know why that makes sense, but it just does. It's kind of like the fact that it's not our money, I think, makes us a bit more responsible with it.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the great impact has actually been the community, I think, is a lot more behind us because it's going to charity. If it was just going to these 4 idiots, I don't think people would be behind us. But yeah, it's just never been, Derek and Neo, like, we've never even spoken about what if we don't get to Donny. It's not an option.
Yeah. And that's what.
Right. But we also haven't really, like, only recently have we properly thought a bit more strategy.
Yeah, it's true.
When it became a bit more serious, we're like, oh shit, we actually need to think about where we can make those quick gains rather than that looks great.
Yeah. We've learnt the hard way on a couple of occasions. Yeah.
Totally. And sometimes that's what you need to do. And I think the reason why you guys have been successful so far is because you just decided to do it and then you did it. You didn't, like a lot of people that say, you know what, come the new year, I'm going to start working out and I'm going to start eating healthier. And it's like, if it was really that important to you, you wouldn't wait until the new year. You do it now. And the fact that you guys didn't wait and you did it right then and there means that it meant something to you, and that, like, you decided to do it and you didn't wait and lollygag. You did it right there. So that was really good. And
if we had have waited, we would have missed what has happened over the last 2 months. If we were doing this as a new year project, which was definitely an option for us, like I'm quite a perfectionist, so I would very much, nothing would get done if I waited until it was at the right time and place. And so I've learnt from being a perfectionist that I need to just jump straight in. And the things for me just in my own life that have resulted in, like, just great things happening and creative things happening have been when I use the mantra to not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And that's what I thought with this project. Is like, let's not try to make it perfect. Let's just make it good and start. And that has led to the growth over the last 2 months. I mean, as we've all seen, in the market has just been crazy in terms of, like, what it's worth, in terms of the new users and stuff. And it's a lot harder as a result for people to get in now with the cheapest collectible on the market, like we did with the thing, and try to get.
The thing is now like at 50 or something as well.
Really?
It's up there.
Nice.
So I think it takes a lot of. It might be a little bit trickier now, a couple of months later. But I guess the mindset is the same. You still got to just start somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. There's been, I think, should we talk about the migration at all, or is that boring?
No, that needs to be done because I know there's going to probably be a couple hundred people that are going to lose their OMI because they didn't do something right. And it won't be keeping it on the exchange is probably going to be fine. Keeping it on your Trust Wallet is fine. Keep it on the app is fine. I keep most of mine on Trust Wallets. I keep a little bit on the app. And just so people that know, the main difference is that there's 2 layers. There is, for the new OMI, there's layer 1, which is on exchanges. So if you have your OMI on an exchange right now, don't worry about it. They'll change it over like tonight, within the next 12, 24 hours. And in a day or so, you can move that to any other exchange. You can go and you'll probably be able to buy, I don't know what the other pairings would be for it. You could buy USDT, you could buy Bitcoin, you could buy whatever. You'll be able to, let's say we get Coinbase or Binance or, KuCoin, whatever it is, we'll be able to take it from BitForex and move it over to any of those other exchanges. Where people are going to get messed up is that the OMI that they have, let's say they missed the migration date, the OMI that they have in their Trust wallets, they will send it over to an exchange, or they have to bridge it. After tomorrow, they'll have to go through some different phase. They'll have to bridge it. But let's say they sent it, and it's now changed over. And say, okay, it's changed over. I'm going to send it back to my Trust wallet. If they do that, and suddenly now now this OMI token is no longer a Go20 token, it's an ERC20 token, and they try to put it into a Go20 address, it's going to be lost. I don't think there's anything you'll be able to do. So you're going to have to go into your Trust wallets, and you're going to have to search for a new one.
That is such a huge risk, isn't it?
It's
it's not
it's a simple mistake to make. You're just not thinking of it. You just don't think of it.
No one thinks about it.
Also updates a withdrawal address, but it won't. You need to
manually. No, it won't do that at all.
So what have you guys both done? Nia, what have you done?
I moved my OMI onto an exchange, Ascendex.
Yeah.
And I think when I move it back to a wallet, I'll do like a small test to make sure that I got the right ERC20 link.
Yeah.
But I remember I know a lot of people in the community have been posting on Twitter reminding everyone of that component because, it would suck. It would suck if it all just evaporates.
You would have some very sad days. People would not accept that. And people would be like, I'm not going to live anymore. Like, I mean, some people like me that put like their whole life savings into it. I would not be okay. Like I would be more okay if the project just fell apart and went to zero. But if it was something that was my own doing, oh my God, no.
I actually made that mistake in my first transfer from an exchange to a wallet. But no, it was like only a small amount when I did like a test amount of like, I think I did like 2 OMI to the Trust wallet. But I didn't have it as the GoChain address and it was just gone. And I was like, oh, I wonder why that's not working. And then I went back and looked and then you figure it out. And I was like, I'm glad I did it with like a very small
glad you did that test
amount. And I didn't drink that much that night.
What did you do, Randy?
So the layer 2 solution is for staking and buying NFTs and buying land. So I did put a decent amount of OMI into the app for that. I believe that will be the next frontier. Like that is, OMI will make us a bunch of money. A land will make us probably the same amount, if not more, when we're able to get that. And the great thing is, OMI's going to moon before we're able to buy land. Like I don't see land happening until the second half of this year. If it happens before then, great. OMI burn up, OMI to the moon. But I really don't see that until second half of this year. But for the most part, because I'm not really going to sell. The only times I'm really going to sell is when I have to like pay taxes or any type of philanthropic goal. So I have no issue keeping most of it in my Trust wallets. And if I have to sell a few million this year to pay for taxes, okay, well, I'm not going to put it back in the Trust wallet. I'm just going to put it on an exchange, sell it, and then transfer it to my bank account. So most of my OMI will stay on my Trust wallets forever, up until I need to, go and sell.
Out of that's something that we need to look at actually in an upcoming episode. Is taxes, and there'll probably be more of an Australian flavour to it, but the principles are the same across the world. And that's looking at, obviously, there's the OMI token itself, but also NFTs. I know that Gibby did a really great Twitter space on this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I wonder if he recorded it. I'll see if we can find it. If it was recorded, then we'll post it in the description here because it was fantastic. It was more North American focused, but the principles are the same. So that's, yes, mental note. We must do that for a future stream. I kind of like with this migration for this is not Donny related, but this is like personal account related. Neo's been getting panicked messages from me over the last like 24 hours. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Is it layer 1 or layer 2? Did I put it on exchange or in the wallet? Okay, exchange, 100% exchange, 100% exchange. Okay, it's in the exchange. I'm like, it hasn't arrived. It hasn't arrived. What's happening now?
Freaking out.
Like, oh, it failed. Okay, it's back in MetaMask. Okay, send it to the exchange. Okay, it's made it. And then like this morning, I sent him a message. I'm like, I sent it to the OMI wallet. Everything is now. Sorry, the VeVe wallet. Everything is now. I've got it all because I want to hit the tier 3. But I was convinced because of some of the staking kind of sounded pretty good to me. I like the idea that you could rent out your collectibles. That's actually the one that I see having the most benefit, or at least it's the one that I'm most interested in.
Wait.
That mightn't come for quite a while, maybe. But what do you think, Randy? When do you think something like renting out your collectibles is going to come?
Like when? What time frame do I think?
Yeah.
I hope later. I mean, we'd have to have the VeVe-verse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we don't have to. Maybe someone just says, you know what? I think Claire from Women X VeVe, she had borrowed His Infernal Majesty, the hymn from Powerpuff Girls, just to do like a photo shoot. So I guess you don't really need the VeVe-verse. You could be like, hey, put in the smart contracts. This person's renting this out, so they can take a cool picture, and then you can send it back after an hour or a few hours. And I think you could do that, but so probably Q4 of this year. I mean, go into the VeVe-verse. You could have your own avatar, but you'd probably want to have something cool. Like that's a flex. Like on CS:GO, like, yo, nice knife. That's like a couple $100 knife. Yeah. How amazed are kids going to be like, oh my God, secret rare Spider-Man. That's worth like $85,000. How did you get that? Like blow their little mind. Like that's a crazy party trick.
It's basically like going down to like a car rental place and renting a Ferrari for the day.
Yeah. I wonder how much that would be, because that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it really does.
I would totally do that.
I mean, recently we tweeted that we'd got a notification on Twitter that you could now connect to your wallet, use an NFT as a profile pic, which you can't at the moment with VeVe Collectibles, which is it is a pain in the ass, but it's a matter of time before that comes. Fingers crossed. But that could be an option as well, right? Like, if a lot of the people are using these for profile pics anyway,
it's a good point.
One use for it.
That's a good.
I had a quick question about the tiers, Randy. Maybe just trying to get a better understanding of one of the components or attributes or whatever. It was for tier 2, and it talks about burning FTEs. Burning FTEs. Still in work mode. Burning NFTs for points. I still can't get my head around it, in that you're burning your NFTs and they're off. Does that then update the mint numbers for the rest that are in circulation? And the points that you're getting, are they the master collector points, or is it? I was confused on why that would be an attractive thing. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, it's a good question. I actually did talk to Reese about this, and I said like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if burning the NFTs were similar to like Hunger Games, right? After a player's eliminated, you hear a bang and you see the person's face up on the big screen. And I was like, that'd be cool if you could, there's an update where we could enable notifications so that every time someone burns something, you get a notification and then you get to see what it was. And it's like, that sounds like a great, I'd love to do that. But like, let's say if you have let's say if you burn number 187, 188 does not become 187. They don't go down. It's just number 187 is just gone forever. And what was the other part of the question?
Like what's the benefit? What's the incentive?
Well, most likely it would be for Master Collector points right now, and the points of the Master Collector program, which they'd have to give you a lot to burn. And I don't think it would go based on money. Maybe it would. It might have to go based on like rarity. Because like, oh, you get this much for burning a common, this much for burning an uncommon. I don't know why anyone would burn a secret rare. I think the cheapest secret rare is like a couple of comics that are worth like $400, or Shark Bite is worth $400 something.
Do you think that add in sort of any function where if you had a set and you burnt the set, they would then gift you with something?
They might, because if you're going to be able to sell sets, then you should have the option to burn a set. And if you want to burn a set, then probably, I could see. But trying to think the cheapest set to burn, maybe one of the James Bond ones, or I don't know what they would give you. I think they would just, instead of getting, burning one, you get a certain amount of points for burning this one and a certain amount of points for burning this one. Maybe if you burn the set, you just get an added bonus of like 10% points or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
I would love to give a couple of shout outs. We're coming up to an hour now, so we might finish up in a couple of minutes. But let's do some shout outs to a couple of members of our community. We had some Randy, like as you've seen, we started with no Twitter account, no idea what we're doing, and I mean, like we're still
dial-up internet.
Yeah, that's right. I got a new phone. It's actually working. Hey, went for the job at 3 a.m. the other night and didn't get anything. Still, but yeah, now we have a Twitter account at the thing to Donny, and we have over 700 followers. I think we can hit a K, and also on YouTube, that's going to be our next frontier. We're looking at, obviously, we'd like to get more engagement on YouTube. But the fact that we now have over 100 subscribers on YouTube means we now have our own custom URL. Yeah! No longer slash whatever it was, C slash W. So that has just grown like crazy over the last couple of months. And some of our supporters have done some really cool things. As we were talking about at the start of the stream, Randy, we actually have some great competitions that were put on in our name. And lots of people donated. We gave them some great shout outs in our last stream with Andy. But since then, we actually have 2 people who have joined competitions on Twitter, and they've said that they're playing for us. So Dana H is playing for us in one competition, and if Dana wins, she's going to donate. I believe it was Marvel Comics #1 to the project, which would be amazing. And Fantasy Kingpins, who also ran a competition of his own, has also pledged in the same competition MC1 to the project as well. So hugely supportive. But any support that you guys have is so greatly appreciated. It doesn't have to be a collectible. You don't have to pledge anything to us. Just follow us on Twitter. We just like having people on board the project. Makes it a bit of fun.
Yeah, having people on board is great.
Yeah, totally. It gives us a great boost. And of course, we have a Patreon as well. Our very first Patreon, Paul, who we're super stoked to welcome on board. Paul, we need to think of some like way to give you your money's worth. So at the moment, like, you know, you're just being a good bloke and supporting us.
I'll drop off some Panettone at his house.
Create a sheet. Shout him out every day. Hey, thanks, Paul. And then
There we go. There we go. We'll do that right now. In fact, I get my kids' texters. We have the Crayolas right here. And these were left out in the sun the other day. So I'm wondering if there's going to be anything left in them. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Paul.
What's our song? What's the song that we sing though?
Paul, here's our boy. If he can't do it, no one will. Anyway, that's about it for us. Randy, thank you so much for joining us again.
It's good to see you, Randy.
Yeah, this was great. This is fun. We have the progress in a couple months is fantastic. You guys made some great moves, and this is just the beginning. I cannot wait to see what happens in March. I mean, obviously February, we get the exchanges, and that's like that's it's like we're doing like the rocket launch. You know, most of the momentum it takes for rockets to get there is really just that first couple of minutes just to break through the stratosphere. So that's when we begin the launch. You know, we get a couple exchanges, maybe get only an NFT, and then maybe in March, a lot of people recognize us, more exchanges, maybe localization. I can't wait. This is, from the time you said you started what, early November?
Yeah.
So figure out 10 weeks. Well, another 10 weeks will be in April. We'll have the, it'll be Q2, it'll be springtime. It's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely crazy. I can't wait.
How nuts. I mean, and who, you don't even necessarily need to make any moves. Anyone who is already in VeVe or holds OMI as well, just waiting until then could be the next move that you make.
That could be the move.
Yeah. Randy, thanks heaps for joining us, and thanks again as well for everything you do for the VeVe fam and for our project. Awesome dude to follow. You got great advice and bring a lot of passion and positivity to the whole community. So really love what you do.
If you have the chance, and let's say the Green Goblin is like $400 or $500, on Friday, get it. I think it'll probably be $1,000 by next week. It'll be $1,000. So
that's an awesome call, actually.
Yeah.
So good to have a few gems to handle there.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
All right, please, guys. Enjoy. Goodbye. Meow, meow.
Thanks, Randy.